Christos voskras, Visma voskras. Christ is risen. Indeed, he is risen. It's Father Basil again. Hope everyone is doing well. I had a nice day. I was uh, watching my son at his Ukrainian dance competition in Saskatoon, and he danced very well. I'm very proud of him. Brought tears to my eyes to see him dance like that. And I want to quickly talk about something today. First of all, I'm going to read a passage. So, this is a passage from John. I'm sure many of you know about this gospel story. Jesus walked out to the Mount of Olives. Then early the next morning, he went to the temple. The people came to him, and he sat down and started teaching them. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law of Moses brought in a woman who had been caught in bed with a man who wasn't her husband. They made her stand in the middle of the crowd. Then they said, "Teacher, this woman was caught sleeping with a man who isn't her husband. The law of Moses teaches that a woman like this should be stoned to death. What do you say?" They asked Jesus this question because they wanted to test him and bring some charge against him. But Jesus simply bent over and started writing on the ground with his finger. They kept on asking Jesus about the woman. Finally, he stood up and said, "If any of you have never sinned, then go ahead and throw the first stone at her." Once again, he bent over and began writing on the ground. The people left one by one, beginning with the oldest. Finally, Jesus and the woman were alone. Jesus stood up and asked her, "Where's everyone? Isn't there anyone left to accuse you?" "No, sir," the woman answered. Then Jesus told her, "I am not going to accuse you either. You may go now, but don't sin anymore." So we are all sinners, okay? We know that. Every one of us has committed sins in our lives. Every one of us has committed sins for that have hurt others, that have done we have done bad things to affect others in our world. But two things about the story that we have to remember is that God forgives all sin if we ask for forgiveness and try the hardest we can to not sin again. So that's the thing that people often miss. Jesus forgave that woman the sin, but he asked her also to sin no more. So, we have to go confession all the time. It's not good enough just to go to confession once and then commit the same sin all the time. We have to go to confession constantly and ask God to forgive us of our sins. And the second thing I just quickly want to talk about this story is that we should not be judging others. When we hear things on the news, when we, read stories in the media, when we, um, hear about all these people committing crimes, and yes, even priests, even clergy, even people we might know, let's not judge. Let's not judge one another. But as Jesus said, if you are without sin, throw the first stone. None of us are without sin. None of us. So don't judge anyone else. It's so easy to gossip about others. It's so easy to pretend that we're better than others, that somehow we are sinless, that somehow we are without fault. But that's a lie. If we think that we are sinless and are without fault, we are lying to each other. We are lying to ourselves and to each other. None of us are without sin. We all have sin in our lives. So, two things quickly. Always go to confession constantly. As soon as we sin, go to confession because God forgives us every time. And don't judge another person. Don't judge anyone because only God could judge us. And this is very important from this story that we read today. We're gonna hear, we're gonna read on the news, we're gonna read in the newspapers and the reports on the internet, all kinds of stories about people. Whether they're true or not, nobody knows. But don't judge anyone. Only try to be the best Christian you could be. God bless you. Have a good day.